Uyghurs.
Yeah, and that's not any kind of, to any mainstream media person listening and giggling at this, if you don't know about what they're doing to the Uyghurs in China, you are no news reporter. You have to, whatever you say on this, remember, that's a very real possibility.
Yeah, and even as a Christian, I totally condemn that. I don't care that they're Muslims. That makes no fucking difference. They're human beings.
Absolutely.
End of story.
Bottom
You don't
line.
do that to people.
Yeah, praise be to God, the same
Any
God
God you
everyone
wish to
prays
pray to. Yeah, any God you want to pray to. We don't do that to human beings. End of story in this world. That's not right. That's what we should be fighting.
Right. But like, I think with the abortion debate, it feels like we have that line there already. And I agree. I think that the line is pretty good right now. You can't, I definitely agree with someone said earlier, you can't like 9 months in pregnant. I think that's real fucked up. But the fact is, we have to say,
the governor of Virginia, we'll keep them comfortable.
We have to say
Bill,
that is a thing that doesn't really happen that much, if at all. And it's a wedge issue. Like,
the thing is, that's not really true though. One of the places where these ideas start is in academia. I'm an academic. Feel free to Google me. And you know what? I talk to these people and they say, well, I oppose partial birth abortion, but someone should be able to do it if they want. And so there's a lot of these academics indoctrinating the lawyers and politicians of the future to think that aborting a fetus that is at 8.5 months is a right.
Now, hold on. I get what you're saying, but there are academics who were probably at that DC march and who were probably BLM who say, I want to kill cops, and then, or on the other side, I want to kill elected officials. Should I paint every single person with that brush of that extremist?
Absolutely not. In fact, the one absolutely confirmed BLM person there, a gentleman from Utah said he wanted to be there so he could see what happened raw and unedited. He wanted to hear from the Trump supporters what they felt, not get it filtered through the media. So I'm all for not filtering, not painting everyone with the same brush. After all, like I said, I'm an academic myself. But there are a certain hardcore group that think that abortion up until the moment that baby takes a breath is okay.
That's the ones making money off of it.
Yeah, and it comes back to social responsibility, because this adulthood responsibility, and parents did not train their kids to, I mean, they were on methamphetamines, heroin, or whatever, weed.
Premarital sex.
Without taking any responsibility for their kids. And that is what they saw in the feeder system in elementary schools in the United States going up. And because right now, kids in elementary school, they're like breathing in smoke from their families.
Can we leave weed out of this conversation?
So basically, kids are getting high from being in their homes. So I want to talk about responsible parenting, which is probably the basis of all these problems where you have like Antifa, they look like they're on drugs or otherwise compromised in that way. There's no way that you're going to go to.
A lot of Antifa people that they actually did arrest, they arrested a couple of people with Molotov cocktails at one of these events, and it turned out they were both lawyers. That doesn't mean they're not high, but let me give you an example of an academic who did something like this. A psychologist, actually somebody I've known and defended in other contexts, named J. Michael Bailey, said, if it becomes possible to do a test and know that a fetus is gay, then it should be within a woman's right to abort that fetus.
Hell no.
Because they don't want to have a gay child.
That's not right.
There's people out there who are that unethical.
That's
wrong. Yeah.
I have to say that I'm really blessed to hear men talking about abortion. I'm tired of hearing women talking about it. These are your babies that are being
these are
aborted.
our families.
That's right. And I want to know, where are those 4,000 babies a day? Where are those bodies?
So I'm gonna be honest. I think
they're harvesting them.
That's exactly right.
Fine. But what I want to point out to you guys,
sad. It's so disturbing.
I get it, and I get that you guys have different opinions than me, and I understand and respect that. But what I want to point out to you guys is that this is a wedge issue. We could go back and forth on this
Oh, yeah.
forever, you know, but we got to find shit that we agree on, because
Absolutely.
wedge issues
is
are
the hardest. Let's
to
be fair.
divide us. Abortion.
Well, I
is
think
not
we
a
could all
topic.
probably agree that killing people is wrong. Death
Do you all
penalty,
agree
abortion,
that-
I'm against them both. Nobody should be killing anybody.
Do you all agree that after birth abortion is wrong?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We all might disagree about exactly where the boundary should be, but as
Yeah.
a principle, killing nearly born babies,
That's a good line.
at the very minimum, we all agree. But the thing that Bill is saying is we kind of need to focus on what the most important thing is. The right to freedom of speech is under attack, where we're getting a situation where 5 oligarchs in the United States, as the Germans pointed out, have all the freedom of speech and no one else has any. Ron Paul was removed from Facebook today.
That's crazy,
Old
man.
man.
That's so crazy.
I got off.
How is he
Facebook,
violent?
Instagram, Twitter,
He's
all.
a friendly old Papa Smurf. That guy is a. I'm gonna be quiet now. You get the point. We need to focus on freedom of
too
speech.
dangerous.
I don't.
And it's not
necessarily
like
disagree.
conservatives are trying to run to a safe space. We just want to be able to voice our opinions, you know, and that's what a lot of people, they come in saying, you know, from the other side. And it's
Oh yeah, like the adult coloring books they had at the colleges that I work at.
Hey man,
I would go in there. I would go into that coloring
Don't
room and
dump on
say
people.
libertarian things, and they'd look at me like I was out of my mind.
Can we agree that silencing voices did not start yesterday?
No, it
Yes.
didn't. But
Agreed.
like,
Not. It
I
did
want
not.
to give you guys
We'd
a
agree.
left perspective.
This has
Can we
been a
agree
slippery
that
slope.
silencing voices started more than a decade ago?
Agreed.
Way more. than
Anyone who opposed
Way more than
the
that.
establishment got silenced a lot, and they did it. They started with a few people here and there, and they've worked it to a point where they can wipe out entire platforms, block politicians.
Well, yeah, it's the
outrageous.
cancel
I
culture.
remember
Cancel
during
culture is
the
the problem.
Iraq War, if you tried to be against the Iraq War, they wouldn't let you talk about it.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm from the Vietnam era. If we
Oh,
tried
dear.
to talk
Yeah.
about Vietnam War, we were silenced.
There's
Well.
a statute
war is
in
their
Texas
moneymaker.
that teachers have to sign in Texas. I believe it's Texas. I could be wrong on the state. That says that if you criticize the state of Israel, you can lose your job, or the country of Israel. That's a little fucked up to me.
Yeah.
We won't
Yeah, I
be
mean,
silenced. I
That
got
totally
news.
goes against free speech.
But
Mhm.
that's how it cuts both ways. Like, because that's the conservative end of that is, well, Democrats too. I shouldn't actually. Yeah, Democrats are actually pretty pro-Israel as well. But again,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's the progressives that are not.
yeah,
Bill,
us loony
among
progressives.
among
I want to hear what this
libertarian
guy has
party
to say.
people.
Come on, Bill.
No, I just want to make a point, okay? Among us libertarian party people, we refer to the Democrats and Republicans both as being authoritarian parties because that's what they are.
I don't disagree with you. You're pretty right. Yeah.
I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
It's not even
I don't
based on
think-
party
I
lines, though.
don't think the people talking on this are not party people. We are patriots.
I mean, I'm a
Exactly.
party person for sure. I'm not like a political
Well,
party
it's human
person.
nature
I'm
to
not
be
dedicated to
authoritarian.
one single party.
I mean,
I you know, it's about country and what's best for the country and her people. That's
We were designed to be authoritarian in a way. Like Jesus said, why don't you judge for yourselves what's right? I mean, we were designed in God's image. What that means is that, like, we have our brain over our body. We were meant to rule over the animals, the birds of the air, and so forth, and the the animals that are that are in the earth. We're meant to rule and to basically to. I mean, Adam and Eve. The story of Adam and Eve. God told Adam, at least, I don't even know if he told Eve, but he at least told Adam to take care of the garden. So we're here to tend to be rulers. Basically, we're designed in God's image. So to be authoritarian is natural for people, but where that gets bad is when it becomes arrogance and we start exalting ourselves.
Yeah,
over
I think stewardship is a better word than authoritarian.
But-
You got to be stewards of the land, stewards of.
We don't take care of our
Human beings
gardens.
are,
That's
but
the problem. Like, I'm afraid. I'm 35.
Don't
and,
even
like,
take care of our own
I'm afraid
yards
to have
anymore.
kids.
If you're in the ocean and a shark is coming towards you, you're not an authoritarian. You don't have stewardship either. You're dinner.
Lunch.
Yeah,
dinner.
God's the authoritarian at that point. He decides that
Yeah, but
sharpshooter.
sharks don't actually attack people. They, I'm just saying.
But like, here's the
Almighty
big
God
one.
is the only
by the
authoritarian that
weird
could
chance
possibly
that it does
exist.
happen,
Everything
but-
else is fooling themselves.
Well, he even said, just to finish that point, or elaborate upon that point, he even said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. And he said, and in what is it, Psalms, the government will be upon his shoulders, and in his name the nations will put their trust. So like Poland, if I'm getting this right, I think it's Poland, they consider that
Prince of Peace.
Jesus is their king, so to speak, even though he said, my kingdom is not of this world. The point is we have to stop trusting in other people to fix our problems. And we have to stop basically trusting in other people because, as I've been saying, the secret of the universe, so to speak, is that only God and Jesus Christ alone is trustworthy. But that's not something that the world can accept. So they fall into one, what do you want to call, party to the next, one social construct to the next. But the nice thing about knowledge of history and knowledge of what God has said is that these words are meant to span for eternity and span civilizations and cultures. Now, historically, I just want to bring this one last point. Historically, the Great Flood destroyed all the civilizations in the world. And, we have the Grand Canyon as physical evidence of that, at least at the bare minimum, the Grand Canyon. And so like all this fossil fuels, it's basically what we're doing is we're burning in our car engines the dead corpses of the wicked while their souls burn in hell. So it's kind of poetic justice in that way.
That's not true at all.
It's not
Science can
flood.
prove that
It's
that's
mostly
not
plant
true.
matter.
Single flood.
Okay,
Good talking to you guys.
with all due respect,
flood.
if you just went to the Grand Canyon and counted all of the layers of rock and imagined that each layer took a year to lay down, they take much longer, there would already be 100,000 layers.
Well, no, because I want to point you to reference.
We can prove by observation. The Bible doesn't need to be literally true for it to be valuable. I respect your belief, though, but
well, no, you don't, though, because it is true.
I do. I'm a scientist. I'm just saying what I believe and what I've seen as a scientist.
Is that banging out the firmament part with the flat Earth, and I can't get behind that.
Well, tell me what you think of this movie that I put on my videos.galaxyverse.com. It's called Noah's Flood. He goes through and he lays out enough evidence to make it very clear that there's been this massive denial, basically just another cover up of atheistic humanism to deny God, like evolution and all that was meant.
Here's how I can explain Noah's Flood.
Another wedge issue.
Basically, at the end of the Ice Age.
Point is
that's about where the story comes from, right? So basically, at the end of the Ice Age, there were many large floods. If you're an Ice Age or near Ice Age person, 10,000 BC, and everything around you for 500 square miles floods, as happened to create the Badlands.
Younger Dryas period.
Yeah, then you're going to say your entire world flooded. It doesn't need to mean that literally Mount Everest was covered with water. It means that everyone that they know of in their world as a person that lived in like the late Stone Age died. And that very well did happen. And there's flood stories like that from people all over the world. But the thing is, we also know, and we can prove that we did not live at the same time as dinosaurs.
You're a scientist, you talk about physics. Water does not flow. The water does not stack up upon itself. It seeks the path of least resistance and it spreads out. So unless you had the highest mountains in an area, if you're saying you had the highest mountains in certain people's areas covered, well, it's not just the water's going to stack up onto a mountain. No, it's going to flow out off into the rivers, into the creeks, and into the oceans, and so forth. You can't be covering a mountain in one part of the world unless you're covering the entire world. So, like I said, there's I would like to run the
Rockies and the Appalachians would have held the water back for you.
You didn't even have your phone. Okay, so that's
so just there's this video, Noah's Flood. It's on my videos.galaxyverse.com. It's something that if you want to talk about that more, look at that first, please, because that's a lot of the basis of what I'm saying as evidence. So. But I'm not saying that you're wrong necessarily or you're not worth listening to. I'm just saying there's other things to consider also.
Maybe. Okay, Dad.
And I think that's the point why we're all here. It's free speech.
Maybe
We
he
all
didn't
can
have the
say
phone.
so,
Maybe
whatever
he
we
did.
want.
It's like, no, he didn't.
But we worry
Hear
about
me?
like
And
taking
in
care
fact,
of Earth.
I would.
Like
One of the colleges I work at is
Hello?
actually a very religious place. I would love to have you come there and speak,
Can
and
someone
I
at least
would defend your
acknowledge
right
that
to
they
say
can hear
something.
me?
And it didn't seem as if
Hello? Test.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
It's about
Okay.
to get real,
Okay.
buddy.
Yep,
Okay,
speak
I
up.
just wanted to say the one guy who is saying that there's no proof of man existing with dinosaurs. The thing is, literally last year, or maybe it was earlier. No, yeah, it was last year. They came out with evidence that they found human footprints next to dinosaurs. So explain it.
Ba 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 ba.
Source.
There are actually still dinosaurs still alive. They're so sparse, or sorry, so sparse that they're not really seen. They kind of avoid people.
Actually, by the way scientists classify things, through what
Every
you've read from
reptile
technically
is still
every
a
bird is a
dinosaur.
dinosaur. You can go and buy
Dinosaurs
Kentucky
are
Fried Dinosaur if you
theropods.
want.
Still a dinosaur.
The Nashville Predators were actually named because they found a saber-toothed tiger in downtown Nashville when they were building the UBS building down in the 70s. Back in the 70s, they found a cave where they found that saber-toothed tiger. 5,000 years ago, there were human remains that were 5,000 years old in Nashville. I mean, it's hard to say how long
Saber-toothed
people have been.
tigers or something else though. Like dinosaurs, as in like Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, we're
Again,
going back
we
like
had stewardship
a
over
lot further.
Tyrannosaurus Rex. Really? We had authority over Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I had an old
You
Christian
wouldn't
man
listen
explain
to
that
shit
to
I
me once.
said.
Well, the timelines don't even sync up for that to even happen. So, I mean,
What?
scientifically speaking,
How much? We got to ask how much has been written out of history at some point.
Very true, yeah.
I'm saying, I'm not going against anybody's religion here, but to me, the Bible or whatever book that you believe in is just, it's a power grasp. I really feel that it's just a game of telephone. You say one thing and you pass it on to the next person and then to the next person and to the next person. And how altered has it got over the past 2,000 years? You know what I mean? Like it.
Right. Which translation are we running on now?
Yeah.
Well, I will say I did a research paper in high school, kind of just to piss off the teachers, but my thesis was, does God exist? And I read the Talmud, the Torah, Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, and I found one correlating factor in even the Quran is that the golden rule is in all those books. Every book
Hey,
has
the
that
autistic
one.
guy's back.
One of the correlating factors, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. No matter what religion you pick, be a good fucking person. That's what they all say.
Even the
every
Prophet
religion-
Muhammad said that kind of thing in his own writings, his words, and it says that in the Quran. You know, they called the Christians and Jews people of the book because supposedly what he was being told by God then, by their belief, was so similar to what God had told men before. So that's absolutely true.
It all leads to the same end.
It does. It's different airlines getting you to the same airport, but you got to have
airports and
you gotta be
airlines.
a good
Hey,
person.
everyone who believes that 9/11 isn't what they said it was, say yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was staged.
Yeah, you know, there's $180 billion in gold that they removed from the basement of the two towers.
I don't know about all the gold, but I do believe that was a setup for sure.
At the very minimum, that plane that went down in Pennsylvania, that was not.
They let it happen.
That was shot
but
down.
It was done by people who weren't Americans. It was the Saudi Arabians were in on it.
The one country that we didn't attack.
I mean,
yes, exactly.
I just always
Why
thought
is
it
that?
was weird. Those guys didn't learn how to land planes. I don't know why they didn't raise anybody's eyebrows.
Right, yeah, they just don't hide a damn plane.
Did anyone see the wreckage in Shanksville? There was like literally nothing left of the plane that supposedly crashed United 93.
It was like someone.
It was probably shot down. I've believed since that day that President Bush had that plane shot down, and they're never going to tell us that he was that cold-blooded.
I don't even know if
He
they
did what
shot
he
it
had to
down
do.
though, because there would be pieces. It's almost like they landed it somewhere else and then they just shot like a missile into the ground. There was no fuselage. You know, the jet engines are literally made out of titanium. They would not burn up completely. They weigh 4,000 pounds a piece.
I can explain why for you.
Why would they
when something hits the ground that hard, that fast,
Brad,
it's actually
they
kind of
were
like
in
it
on it.
splashes, even if it's made of solid metal. For
Yeah,
example,
they managed to find
if
the
an asteroid
passport
hits
of
the
one of
planet,
the
it just
terrorists. They
basically
found his
blows
passport.
apart.
Look
It
at
got blown apart, basically.
Look at previous plane crashes, and you'll see there's nothing like a previous plane crash there. Someone who was there said it was like they dug a hole and emptied some trash cans in there, and that was
Full throttle nose dive into the ground, maybe. But
Rolls Royce
the story
titanium
they told
engines
us
do not
was
just
roll. Why would they
vaporize.
nose dive to the plane, to the ground like that?
I say we get
None of it makes sense.
There's no way that was real. There's no way.
Yeah,
You guys need to
the
remove
Twin
that.
Towers were a
say it
stage.
wasn't
There were
real or
small
was real.
explosions before it collapsed.
And then they.
Who has ever seen the unedited video from 9/11 of the people jumping out of the Twin Towers?
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, but Building 7 wasn't even
High
hit.
school. I saw the people jumping out. It was terrible.
What about Building 7? No plane even hit it. It was like a 47-story tower. It literally came down at like 5:30 in the evening. Boosh. And then they talked to Larry Silverstein. He owns some of the buildings.
The Silverstein, right? But the fire are saying it's going to blow or coming down about Building 7.
Yeah, that was a demolition job. I've seen a lot of demolition, and the way those two buildings stack themselves that's amazing.
All three of them were demolished.
Right.
But not even just demolished, because they had those huge steel beams that were being vaporized in midair. So that speaks of a directed energy weapon. And people in the military were saying, actually, it was a do.
It was that or a whole lot of thermite.
Nanothermite.
It was a bunch of things. There was a bunch of things going on. They planted bombs in the floors. People heard said that they heard scraping barrels in the floors and like elevator shafts and stuff. There's a whole lot of evidence that it was all just like a massive long-term plan that they just put into play.
They definitely hid key things from us that has made us all ask questions.
Buildings is oil-based product, so if it gets hot enough, it'll all start igniting.
And the building was made out of asbestos, and they knew that it would be so expensive to get rid of it the legal way. They just said, let's blow it up and get rid of this asbestos all at once.
That's
Hell of asbestos abatement.
Hey, who's they?
That explain all the sicknesses with the first responders.
Oh yeah. And didn't they detect temperatures above 3,000 degrees like 4 months later? It was like literally, I saw this picture when it happened, obviously, or months after it happened, of a excavator pulling out liquid lava from underneath the tower. So they're trying to get the debris away. Liquid lava, days later, weeks later, months later. How?
Well, it's like there's a city in Pennsylvania that's been on fire for like 50 years underground.
Hell of a movie about that called Fire Down Below.
Yeah, it's still burning today. They've tried to put it out with water, concrete, nothing will
What's the
stop
fuel
it.
source? Is it from the earth?
Coal. Yeah, it's the coal in the
yeah.
ground. It's just burning right now as we speak. It's on fire. Like the town is evacuated. Like the roads are melting into the ground. It's insane.
For years.
I think it's Carlisle, Pennsylvania. It's crazy. Yeah, 50 years now it's been going on.
What's the name of the movie or documentary?
Fire Down Below.
Yeah, it's a movie made about it. It's good though.
Yeah. And it's insane. And that's today, still happening. We still haven't fixed that. So, but yeah,
well, we can
once
save
it gets
the world.
hot enough, yeah, we'll save everybody else, but we can't keep Pennsylvania from burning.
But only if we keep our right to freedom of speech above all else, because without it, we have nothing else.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny you say that because
That's why we're here.
Amazon.com just suspended donations to lawmakers who voted against the Biden certification. So if you just voted against it for whatever reason, you can no longer accept donations. So there's your freedom of
A
speech.
constitutionally guaranteed thing that Democrats have done for every single president in the 2000s. Outrageous.
Yeah. I don't care what side it is. They shouldn't be doing this. Left or right. Nobody,
right
everybody
there.
deserves a platform. Everybody.
So
Could
let
you
me ask
repeat
let me
that
ask a
about
serious question
Amazon?
here.
I want to ask a serious question. If we found a cave of trolls living underground that were threatening to kill the vice president, should we guarantee they're
This is a
free
serious question.
to blow the fuck out of the cave?
That's not a serious question.
That is
Now,
a serious
could
question.
the
I don't know. I
person
guess
should-
we'd have to
literal
discuss
trolls?
what the issue is with
Well, the
Ted.
thing is, if we're talking about literally blowing the cave up with explosives, no, because we're not barbarians. But that's the thing. Parler wasn't that. Parler was mostly 90% of us just libertarian or free-thinking people sharing memes or expressing views that were peaceful that we just couldn't say on other social media without being sanctioned.
Thank you.
There was like two people who were
I
violent.
collect screenshots of the most violent shit that you can imagine on
The censorship-
Parler, and there's a massive
And most of
dump.
it got taken down almost immediately once it was reported.
The
Yeah.
massive dump.
Censorship is all about
doesn't
fear
even
and
get
control.
any repercussions. Twitter, they're still allowed to speak hate.
Man, they have terrorists on there, like actual terrorists on there, and they do nothing.
They have the Ayatollah of Iran on there threatening death to countries, and he has a military.
So here's my real concern for conservatives. If we group all of you guys together in the same space, it's going to be easy to find you and massive data dumps
Oh
like the
my
one that's
God,
going to be
Chase
hit.
was on here on the last queue.
No,
Come
I'm
on
serious.
No, this guy's got a good point.
No,
Well,
I'm absolutely
you don't have to
serious.
find me though. I'll stand right up and put my hand up. I'm a firm believer. I love this country. One of my favorite people
It's
in our
called a
history is
honeypot.
Nathan
You're describing
Hale.
a honeypot, Chase.
Exactly. It is a honeypot. Thank you.
Yeah. But I'll stand right up. If they want to gun me down just for believing what I believe, then I'll gladly take that bullet. I'll get
But
hung
why would
like
you?
Nathan
I mean, you
Hale.
wouldn't gladly just stand up and take a bullet. You'd probably like hide and try to find a different way to fight back first. You wouldn't just be
No.
like, I'm gonna martyr myself right in round one. That seems weird.
Well, if that's how it's going to go, I guess that's how it's going to go. I've learned to put my life in God's hands, and
Well, okay,
only
that's
He
a
can
different thing.
save me.
True. Okay.
Martyrdom only counts or matters if people are going to talk about you. I mean, think about all the people who die who, like, even now, who no one knows about or talks about. And they do it for them, or like the smartest people in the world that no one knows about or talks about. We think we're so smart or so, proud or so patriotic or so anti-God or anti-whatever. We've taken up our own views about in our own closed perceptions and limited viewpoints or limited perceptions and closed viewpoints of reality. But who's going outside and talking with people? So don't accept anyone criticizing you for wanting information, for talking to other people, for asking them about themselves or their opinions and their viewpoints. That's as anti-intellectual and as basically destructive as you can be. Besides,
we're talking about our viewpoints here. I think what he was referring to is Parler, and then leftists using that as a massive list of conservatives to come after us later. I think that's what he was referencing to.
Yeah. So I mean, we're saying
This is exactly what he was referencing.
I don't know if you guys are aware, they hacked or somebody hacked Parler in between. That's why it's down right now. And they claim that they have all the metadata, every single, not just your public posts, but all of the back DM messages, and even depending if you're uploading from your if you're uploading from your phone, you have GPS location. I'm not saying who cares. I don't know. Who cares?
That's not entirely accurate. On Reddit, the place where that hacker posted his information, there's a Reddit called Parler Watch. And the moderators of that Reddit have posted that the information that a lot of the news media is reporting, a very highly upvoted post, is wrong. They did get some metadata, but they don't have all of that, because all of that was spread over hundreds of Amazon AWS servers.
I heard it was in the terabytes.
Tens of terabytes. You know how long it takes to download terabytes?
They did
this person's doing this over a government?
Downloading
what
it
kind of
into
internet are they
a
doing this over? That they can download it in a day. So
They
70
did
terabytes. Come on.
sucking the information down through the front end. It's called scraping. That's how they got all the data. I've seen the data. I'm watching it. I know where it lives. It's so incriminating. The worst part about all of this is they're going to run statistical analysis on this with AI and machine learning, and they're going to see the behaviors of what's going on out there.
the credit score system like in China.
Posts, that's seeing
Because
through
it's not the
statistical analytics.
behaviors of yours is
They're
why.
going to see the behaviors of far-right radical extremists, and it's going to make you guys look terrible.
Well, yeah,
They're going to try to
left
connect
extremists,
everyone
right
on Parler to try to
extremists.
see that. So what they could do is map out the social network of Parler and see, okay, here are the people that were making violent threats. Who were they connected to? Because until I saw
That's probably a small
screenshots of that kind of
percentage.
stuff,
Yeah.
I never saw stuff like that.
Well, they're going to work off like 6 degrees of separation. If you're within 6 degrees of someone violent, you're technically part of their group.
Or go.
Yeah, but by
Gestapo
6 degrees, that's everybody on Earth.
Exactly.
And they say
is
we're
George
fascist.
Washington an extremist? Is George Washington an extremist?
He's dead, bro.
Well, I mean, well, I guess back in the day, he would have been considered a terrorist if he'd have lost, but he's a patriot.
Aaron, consider this. I'm a member of the National Education Association. Okay, teachers union. The same teachers union as the incoming first lady. I know people who know her. By 6 degrees, that would make her a terrorist. Come on.
Yeah.
We get your logic.
That's the type of stuff they're going to use. That's what the NSA was using when they were looking for terrorists before, is anybody connected to anybody. And
the problem is that
now
it
we got
seems
Snowden on the run.
for those who are being persecuted at any given point are willing to accept the fact that it's a bad idea to go along with these CIA Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird narratives, which are meant to basically undermine what do you want to call it, our democracy, even though it's not really a democracy. It's basically meant to destroy the country, because that's what they do in other countries. Military intelligence, they're very good at doing this kind of thing. And like several documentaries and several whistleblowers and people have said, this is nothing new, but it's apparently new for us because it's being showed us now.
Mm-hmm.
How do we even see it? And how do we see this in the first place? Well, I mean, we can work backwards. People were being banned from YouTube, basically from Google-owned platforms. Google is also in bed with DARPA if it's not actually just run by DARPA.
Same with Facebook.
So you have, pardon me?
Same with Facebook, is also a DARPANet project.
And Dell.
Yeah, so it's basically this massive intelligence.
Is a DARPANet project.
Correct.
Yes. Well, I mean, what do you want? Yeah, people are going to use computers and.
Oh yeah, they're loving it. I bet money on it. They're listening to us right now having this conversation. But I don't
your smartphone is a hot mic to the Chinese.
Especially if you have like a Xiaomi
take
or
some
something.
pork fried rice and an egg roll.
Ayo.
Well, it's a real sad day in
The
America.
world is listening to you.
That's right, William. It's a real sad day. I agree, brother.
It's a real sad day in America when we show that we love our country and we're considered terrorists.
Amen.
Do you understand why you're considered terrorists, though? I think that's an important question.
I do.
I don't think anyone considers me a terrorist, but I'm curious to why you think that.
Well, I don't think you do sound like a terrorist. When I listen to you, you're very intelligent and well-spoken, and I think you're an excellent moderator. So
unfortunately, we're all going to be terrorists. Anybody who's a patriot is all going to be. They're already going after our freedom of speech, like being kicked off the airplane for singing our national anthem. That's our national anthem. We shouldn't be being penalized for speaking or singing something that shows patriotism for our country, but one world government, they want to take over our country.
If you're capable or willing to resist their tyranny and their takeover and their basically mass control.
Chase White, I want to know why.
Shouldn't be called terrorists just by loving your country that much, though.
Chase White, tell us why we're going to be labeled terrorists.
If they want to consider me a terrorist, look at my image now. This is me. I'm a transgender woman of color. I teach physics. If I was a terrorist, I wouldn't be on the phone, okay? I could do a lot. I say this, I have no intention of doing anything, but if I was a terrorist, oh my God, I'm an astrophysicist. Do you have any idea what I could do?
I actually do. That's kind of fucking dangerous.
Okay, I'm just somebody.
We want to know why.
Who wants to stand up for the freedom of speech of other people. Because if they will take the freedom of speech from 75 million, mostly white people, do you think they're going to protect mine? Hell no.
Thank you.
They're going to move the
If you think
goalposts,
that, then
man.
you are ignorant about what this country is about. The rights that white people have are the maximum. Everyone else has a little bit less. Okay? If they will do that to you, they will certainly do that to Black Lives Matter, to LGBT groups, to anyone who dares to speak up.
But realize,
I told you, I
if you're
wrote on
libertarian,
the text feed, they called people, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called people who wanted her to
Why
make
they're playing
a
both
vote
groups against
on
each other.
Medicare for all violent. They asked her to vote on a bill in Congress, and she called them violent. If that's violent, then we're all screwed.
Yeah.
they didn't give us our rights. You realize that, right?
Chase White.
No one gives us our rights. No other human gives another person a right.
I'm
God,
so
good to say.
sorry. Yeah. You know, it's kind of like how Yiannopoulos got banned.
Yeah, the first couple bannings aren't like they're hard to argue with. Even like I used to watch Alex Jones quite frequently. You got to take everything with a grain of salt. Oh, let's kick him off. No big deal. Move the goalposts. Pretty soon they're kicking all you guys off Parler, and then once they kick off Parler, is that going to be enough? Are they going to stop? I want to hear what Chris has to say though, because Chris was on the stop. I feel like Chris is the counterpoint to a lot of what you guys think, and he was talking about how that we'd probably be labeled terrorists, and I want to hear more about that.
It was Chase White.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
it's an
sorry,
interesting
Chase. Sorry,
question.
it's Chase.
For sure.
We look through everything through two totally different lenses. I don't look through everything.
Yeah, obviously a blind lens.
Well, then it raises the question
I'm a
of
Trump supporter.
it raises the question
I
of who
am
is
so
blind.
far right. It's not
Let
even
him talk.
freaking ridiculous.
I can tell just by your behavior. I can tell.
Yeah,
So-
I'm a Trump supporter too, but you got to listen to his point of view, okay?
I'm an equal opportunity offender. I see stupid shit on the left. I see stupid shit on the right. I'm kind of like love you both, and I'm kind of looking out for your own best interest. My family is hard right. I'm in the middle. Anyway, that's my point of view.
You should be a libertarian then.
Maybe I am. I'm certainly not a Democrat. I couldn't support any of the bullshit that went on during the summer. It's insane. And I don't
Guys,
wear a
if I can
pussy hat.
interject,
Yeah, be my guest.
I'm only saying this for one point. You know, I left a communist country. I came to this country to be free. And it hurts me that we see how we as Americans now, because I am an American, how I'm being judged now from the left as if I'm the bad guy because I love this country.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
What communist country did you come from, if you don't mind me asking?
I came from Cuba.
And you love this country. You want it to be the free. You like it better than Cuba, obviously.
This country
You know,
has
it's
given
pretty
me
shitty.
everything
It's
that I
pretty
would
shitty. The
never
white
have in my life.
supremacists have taken over.
No, they haven't taken over. They're making a push for it.
Yeah, that shit's crazy. Like I'm half Mexican. I'm like, God, I don't know if I'll be able to trust the Patriots at the fan.
So to answer your question very
Majority of the Americans don't understand what communism is. They see it from a different perspective.
It's an
That's why
overview.
the left hates the Cubans, because they're conservative.
And see, that's the thing is, like, my mom freaked out that this is going to become a communist and socialist country. She like cries every day. It's so insane.
Mm-hmm.
William, how do we see our communism different than you see it?
That's what I want to know. I was just unmuting because
you
I
guys
see
are-
communists as horrible. Explain it.
This taking your rights, what they're doing right now, you know, they bring you in saying, hey, the government's going to give you all this stuff and they're going to take care of you. And in the long run, they just take your freedom. And they don't give you anything.
100%.
Communism doesn't produce
Like, look at
anything.
Venezuela. Socialism.
Socialism is, yeah, that's more of what I meant. The thing is, and I was trying to explain it to my 12-year-old today, the thing is in America, the only way to bring us to a socialist state is to bring us down, hence the 100-day lockdown that Biden wants to do.
Wow.
He's got to break
And
our
they're working on
economy.
it right now.
Yep, exactly. And it's terrifying, 100% terrifying. I don't want to send my kids back to school because, God forbid, the whatever war breaks out. I've already heard that, and I don't know if it's true. If anybody else knows anything, that'd be great because I'm still trying to figure this all out too. But I heard that that China's buying bases in the Philippines and in Texas, and if we go to a full-on war on U.S. soil, I don't want my kids at school away from us where I can't get to them. As a mom, I'm
Chinese are
terrified.
buying bases in Texas. I don't know about overseas. I know there's a Chinese regiment in Canada right now doing cold weather drills with the Canadians.
What if
I was
the
told.
troops at the DC are there to protect the Capitol from a foreign attack?
Well, I was told by a source that they 3 years ago bought out farms, like cow farms in Texas, for military bases, and that was
They're
3
buying
years
tons of
ago.
real
It's not even
estate.
right now.
Yeah, they might just be using them as cattle ranches because I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Smithfield Hams at Virginia. China bought them.
Absolutely, they bought them.
They bought them, and what they tried to do is start doing the hams in China. And Smithfield that sold it said, no, you got to actually make it in Virginia.
Do you guys think that Biden is compromised by Chinese information or Chinese blackmail through Hunter?
Absolutely.
100%.
Read the Epic Times. Read the Epic Times. Watch China Uncensored. They talk about it all the time.
Times? How are they even still around? With I feel like the CCP would have gutted them, but like right now, I can't believe they're able to say what they say.
How is Alex Jones still online?
Being on YouTube and Twitter, PSTP.TV.
They're very careful about it.
Yeah, they're not going to hit everybody at once. It's going to be a slow roll. This Parler thing was a lot bigger than it probably should have been because it created too much talk. I mean, look at us. We got moderates, left, right, all in one room talking. This is not what they wanted. I guarantee.
They didn't want this, aka look at COVID. They didn't want us to be communicating with each other.
Shut down. After they censored Alex Jones, that's when they kicked like hundreds of thousands of people off of Facebook and so forth. But that wasn't something that anyone else was talking about. They basically demonized the people who knew what was actually going on, so that they could push their own narratives without any sort of public, any public witness of public resistance. And that's what they're doing right now with the rally. They're demonized public resistance to their agenda, which anyone can see online on their own papers. So it's not like people are making stuff up. You just go to their own websites and read what they've written for like generations that they're planning to do. It's called Operation Lockstep and all this stuff.
I would love to find out some of those websites.
And the middleman is stronger than what anybody can even imagine. We are the
They do this because of COVID. Look, we're able to communicate on mass of a big platform. They didn't want this. Look at COVID. They locked everything down. No indoor dining or anything.
Monkey, do you think that I'm sorry. No, you're fine. This is hard, the back and forth. He's saying because of COVID, I was asking, they were talking about a blackout, which happened like in Pakistan and the Vatican, and then they were talking about just being a big tech blackout so that we can't communicate. Does anybody think that's still going to happen in the next couple days?
No, that's all QAnon.
It does, then it's related to the military. I mean,
QAnon is misinformation for the most part. The one thing that made QAnon look credible was that Jeffrey Epstein definitely didn't kill himself.
True.
Epstein alive.
I think he is in protective custody. I think he's going to blow the whistle on so many people. They had to get him out of there before he was suicided, is what I think.
No, he Epsteined himself, which is a different code word.
What does that code word mean then?
Prejudice, as they said in Vietnam.
He could not speak. Like a lot of people have been Epsteined. Trust me.
Lane Maxwell, anyone know?
Parler didn't hang itself.
Yeah, the belief she's still alive.
Anybody know why Pelosi was in the Secret House tonight?
Why?
I'm having a hard time hearing over Fergalicious.
Yeah, what year is this? If only this was the year that Pergalicious came out.
Turn that off.
I just wish our founding fathers were here.
Yeah, mute your mic.
So, what's going on with Nancy Pelosi?
I think they're just trolls.
Oh yeah, this is trolling.
Yeah, it's trolls.
I think it's Rick that's doing it.
Who doesn't realize that they're even on.
I just wish our founding
Rick
fathers
Aston.
were here.
Auto before they take it down for promoting violence. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay. So seriously, does anybody know what's going on with Nancy?
Yeah, she ran out of Tito's. That's about all I can say.
She's freaking out because she knows she's caught. I'm going to hang up and come back later. Maybe the noise will be gone.
No, but she's in hiding or something, I imagine. What, she sent someone else to do her job today? Is that right?
Does anybody want to be friends?
I can't hear you. Can you say that again, please?
Does anybody want to be friends?
I don't think they do that on this one.
All day, every day, pretty much. So you're supposed to do it by yourself. God hears it. God knows. That's all that really matters.
I'm just trying to figure out, Nancy is having Trump impeached, and this is like the crowning jewel of all of her lifelong ambitions, and she wasn't there today to set forth
Well,
the
she
article.
was born in 1940. We can only imagine.
So what's the point of impeaching Trump 9 days before supposedly Biden's supposed to take office?
They wanted to destroy him.
Then they have a keep on doing it.
They want to make sure that he can never run for public office ever again.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Thank you for turning off Fergalicious.
Yes, thanks.
We're picking on Fergalicious, but nobody said anything about Shakira.
Well, Shakira was awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I think one of their big things was, like you guys were talking about, they don't want us communicating. Mo, I can't say his name, Mo something kept saying it's COVID, but it's just the divide. They're trying to divide the country, and they've done a really good job at it. And they're trying to divide the country because we can't fight if we're divided.
I'm hearing Texas might secede.
Texas is they've been looking to do that for about a decade.
I think this is sort of a flashpoint for everybody that is right-leaning, everybody that is even further on the right side. That is like, hey, wow, this is really going on. I think eventually we will reconvene at some point and have a further discussion. I think this has opened a can of worms that has been sitting under the surface for a very, very long time.
I mean, what's the end game here, though? I mean, if these guys want to suppress all of our constitutional rights, I mean, just look at what's going on. You go to any gun store, and the shelves are bare. You can't find ammo. Ammo is probably worth more than gold right now. I mean,
I know a guy who needs some ammo.
All right.
We
you got to come out to Tennessee.
We got a reloading machine. You can't even find shit to reload.
Shit. I got all his and he's just is
So if we lose,
That's right.
if we if
Well, they're coming for all of our rights. They talked about veto. They're going to take us. They're starting here on the 1st. They're talking about coming on the 2nd. The next one could go after the 3rd. And so on and so forth. And then here's the 15th. You wouldn't take one to take it home.
I can't hear anything.
It sounds like voices are altered.
An echo.
Rick asking guys trolling. Rick Aston. In other words, trolling. Is that how you hear me?
I feel like I hear my echo.
No, it didn't compromise. You guys are in the echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
The echo is people with the same channel on right next to each other.
Jeremy's mic. I think it's from Jeremy.
Sorry.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay, who was the culprit on that one?
Whoever got the TV going in the background, turn it off. That's what's causing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was crazy.
Rick Aston got the TV on.
I hear music. I hear TVs. Guys, don't you know how this shit works? Turn off the background noise, please.
Press the mute button on your mic too.
The background noise is actually from a troll. It keeps flying, so you have to listen to. I would rather it be like Morgan Wallen or what is it? The new
Get some whiskey
song Dick
Myers going in the
Dallas.
background.
I would rather that.
So, can I ask a question? How do you perceive this military activity going on in Texas and around DC, California, with the National Guard being sent in from New York and so forth? So, how do you perceive this? Do you perceive this as martial law based on the Insurrection Act in order to retake the White House from the insurrectionists, literally, who are disregarding the election fraud and so do you perceive it as a positive thing by upholding justice, or do you perceive it as a just more to this COVID nonsense lockdown meant to destroy the country?
No, I think it actually has to do with something bigger than.
I think they're just preparing and
Might be
being
for
ready.
us.
2 is 1, 1 is none. And I think those guys are just ready in case something happens. But I don't think they have any orders to do anything. Let's stay now.
Whoever has the music going, please shut it off. That's just rude.
I don't know. That is Bon Jovi, though. He's pretty fucking badass. Oh, come on. I think we found out where Pelosi is. She's over here DJing.
So you're telling me the music in the background is just some guy being a dickhead?
Yeah.
Yep.
They give it a break every once in a while and let us have a couple moments of peace, and then they pick it right back up. It's got to give them their First Amendment, right? That's what we're all here for, your First Amendment. You want to be a dick? It's not illegal to be a dick.
100% agree with that.
I'm going to go put on some Slayer and crank it up.
God, please don't. Okay, I can get behind
that's
this song.
interesting.
I
That's
would
interesting.
actually rather it be like something like REO Speedwagon, more of my genre.
I like country, so.
Yeah,
I like them all except that new rap.
I'm a blues guy myself.
I actually like most of these songs he's playing, or this person is playing. It's just annoying because I'm trying to focus on listening to you guys and I can't hear over it. But if it was on my playlist, I'd be cool with it.
Oh, I can totally hear you.
It's just like having one of my kids in the room with me.
So
I do dog rescue. I have to keep muting you guys because my dogs keep going off.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one.
Well, we know there's somebody in their 20s or 30s.
Yeah, probably the 30s. There's a nice little old school mashup. But you can't be mad
I
with
haven't
some
heard
JT.
Madonna yet.
Ooh.
That's why I said, like, let's hear some REO Speedwagon.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
Back to the military question, though. I honestly think it's to make sure everything stays peaceful. I think it's a protection thing. Though I'm not for martial law, like I don't like being told what I can and can't do and where I can and can't go. But I think it's there for protection.
I couldn't agree
Well,
here. Kind of enjoy that. Stores staying open, people are not wearing masks. Life hasn't really changed much. However, we do have some high numbers. Is there a way to kick them off the voice chat at least?
make me put it ain't no God that you
Missy, mute your microphone, please.
Oh yeah, I like this one.
Troll disruptor.
Oh, have a party. Can't even get one whole song.
Anything about politics or religion or whatever, we should just say we should tell the DJ to at least play some really good music.
It'd be annoying.
We just piss them off and say like, all
Well,
live.
we know who it is, so I mean, I can already see it on my end who's doing it. But
It's like trying to win an argument that with a 3-year-old.
I keep trying to find out whose microphones are muted and whose aren't when the noise is going.
Big surprise.
yeah, you got a lot
Rick
of
Aston and Missy who are the culprits here.
This is also called Teddy. I got a couple more things. Okay, so this is going to be
acting up again.
less romantic. This is
Cold, man.
mouthwash.
Misty, can you please mute your microphone?
This your breath, not.
Missy, shut your fucking mouth up.
it's Missy, Texas from Rick Aston.
It's Missy and Rick.
Like, damn, why
You know that
Hey, go to Missy's page and you can mute Missy's microphone yourself. You guys hear me?
I can hear you. How do I mute all of theirs?
This is the first time you're telling me you have an ulcer. Okay.
So it's told that I want to give a chance to Ed to be embarrassed. I think Ed is a good person. Ed truly loves me. Alam na lang tanggapin na Ed. Ano ko?
I love you.